Jesus before Pilate. A reading from Luke chapter 23, verses 1 through 7. Then the assembly rose as a body and brought Jesus before Pilate. They began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man perverting our nation, forbidding us to pay taxes to the emperor, and saying that he himself is the Messiah, a king." Then Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He answered, "You say so." Then Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no basis for an accusation against this man." But they were insistent and said, "He stirs up the people by teaching throughout all Judea, and from Galilee, where he began, even to this place." When Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him off to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at that time. I find no basis for an accusation against this man. The gospel writer Luke has Pilate saying these words following Pilate's questioning of Jesus. Later in chapter 23, Pilate, fearing any civil unrest, condemns Jesus to death. Pilate condemns a man to death while knowing of the man's innocence. Further in the gospel, Pilate is clear that he is not going to be the one taking responsibility. I am very unlikely to ever be in Pilate's position making life or death judgments. With that in mind, it is easy to reflect on Pilate as a man both evil and cowardly who should have done better. That's an easy, risk-free, low-demand message. Perhaps we can see another message for ourselves, for our time. In our current public health crisis, and it is a crisis for many, there is a message. A simple message is to not lament that others are not taking responsibility, but to ourselves take responsibilities. No heroic or grand setting is needed. Just consider your weekly excursion for groceries. Can we take on the responsibility of being aware of any actions that might put us and our germs in contact with others? If, for a moment, we take our focus off our own shopping list and the missing flour from the store shelves, then we can actively notice the shoppers and the store clerks around us. We can hold back for a moment to let another walk by in the aisle or finish reaching for an item. Can we take on the responsibility of showing thanks, showing appreciation for those who continue to work at the many jobs making our grocery trips possible? If for the moment we take our focus off the lines being too long, and that again we did not get the flour, then we can simply say thank you to everyone stocking shelves, answering questions, checking and bagging our purchases. Can we take the responsibility of simply being pleasant, of not bemoaning the inconveniences of this entire situation? If for a moment we take our focus off everything else in our life that feels missing, like the bread baking for which I needed that flour, then we can smile and acknowledge each other with a simple nod. Maybe a smile that says, "I'm happy for this day." The only scripture verse I keep in my mind as a memory verse is Micah 6:8. "What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God?" In our current public health situation, my takeaway from our reading about Pilate is to simply try to take responsibility, however simply, to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with God.